Year 1 was the hardest. I called mom 4 times. Voicemail every time. I sent cards for her birthday, dad's birthday, Christmas. All 3 came back with the same red stamp. Dad sent one text in February. 4 words, your mother needs time. No follow-up, no second text. Those 4 words sat in my phone like a voicemail I couldn't delete. Paige posted a family photo that spring. Mom, Dad, Paige, Paige's boyfriend. Captioned, Sunday dinner with my people. I wasn't in the photo. I had never been invited. I printed the screenshot and put it in the manila folder. By March, the folder was thick enough to transfer into a binder. Navy blue, 3 rings, labeled tabs. He is not one of us. Her voice played in my head at strange moments. In the grocery store. At the dentist. At 2 in the morning when Marcus was asleep and the apartment was dark. I wanted the words to stop hurting. They didn't stop, but they got quieter. The binder got thicker. By year 2, Marcus quit his job. Not recklessly. He had a plan. For 6 months he'd been building a compliance platform for small businesses, software that made SEC filings and financial audits manageable for companies that couldn't afford a legal team. He set up a desk in our garage. 2 monitors, a space heater, a whiteboard from Goodwill for $12. I came home from my analyst job every evening, heated leftover soup, and sat beside him reviewing financial models until midnight. He built the engine. I built the dashboard. Neither of us slept enough. The company, Clarity Core, launched 7 months later with 4 customers and a free trial that crashed twice on the first day. That same year, I upgraded the binder. Bought a proper one. Navy blue. 3-ring. Dividers for each year, red pen labels on every item. Tab 1, year 1, 7 items. I was not building a case. I was not planning revenge. I was doing what I'd always done, keeping records. Because financial analysts don't throw away documentation. Ever. Liam and Sophie arrived on a Wednesday morning in November. 6 pounds each. Identical dark curls. Sophie screamed for 4 hours straight. Liam slept through all of it. Marcus cried. I had never seen him cry before. He held one in each arm by the hospital window and said, they are going to know they are loved every single day. Cora flew in the next morning, stayed 2 weeks, cooked, cleaned, rocked Liam at 3 in the morning while I fed Sophie. She brought a crocheted blanket, yellow and white, soft enough to make you cry, and a silver bracelet for each baby engraved with their birthdays. That was what a grandmother looked like. I had sent Diane the ultrasound photos 5 months earlier. Returned. I sent birth announcements. Returned. I sent photos, Liam sleeping on Marcus's chest, Sophie gripping my finger. Returned. 3 items added to the binder. Items 13, 14, 15. Then Paige texted someone we both knew from high school. The mutual friend screenshotted it and sent it to me without comment. Paige's text read, her children don't have real grandparents. That's what she chose. I sat in the nursery with that text on my screen for 11 minutes. Sophie was asleep in the crib. Liam was in my arms. I could hear Cora in the kitchen humming something low and sweet while she washed bottles. My children had a grandmother. Her name was Cora Webb, and she flew from Cleveland every 6 weeks and never missed a birthday. I printed Paige's text, filed it. Item 16. Red pen. Dated. By year 4, the binder had 19 items. I want to be clear about something. I did not keep that binder out of spite. Most weeks, I forgot it existed. It sat in the bottom drawer behind tax folders and old insurance documents. But every time something arrived, a returned card, a forwarded screenshot, a voicemail I saved because deleting it felt like erasing proof, I filed it. Marcus asked me once, why do you keep all of that? I told him the truth. Because someday the kids might ask why they don't have grandparents on my side. And I want them to have facts. Not my version, not her version. The receipts. He nodded. He understood receipts. He was an engineer. Engineers keep build logs. By then, Clarity Core had 11 employees. We'd moved out of the garage into a real office. The silence from Ohio had become a fact of life, like weather. Some days I noticed it. Most days I didn't. Cora visited every 6 weeks. The twins called her Grammy. She taught Liam how to make grilled cheese. She taught Sophie the names of every bird in the backyard. I did not know it then, but that binder would become the most important document in my life. More important than my degree, more important than our marriage certificate, more important than the IPO filing I would sign 5 years later. Year 5. 15 employees. A real office with a sign on the door. Clarity Core was growing, not fast, not flashy, but steady. The kind of growth that doesn't make headlines, but pays salaries and keeps the lights on. Marcus still coded. He refused to become the kind of CEO who stopped building the product. I handled everything else: cash flow, vendor contracts, quarterly projections. His vision. My numbers. We bought our first house, a craftsman bungalow in the Cedarwood neighborhood of Portland. 3 bedrooms, original hardwood, a backyard with a plum tree the twins claimed as their fort. I remember signing the mortgage and thinking, this is ours. Nobody gave us this. We built it. On a Tuesday night in October, I made the mistake of checking Facebook. Diane had posted a family photo from what looked like a Thanksgiving preview dinner. New dining set. Paige and her husband. A baby in a high chair. Paige's son. My nephew. I had never met him. Caption: my whole world. 3 people in the photo. A baby. A table. A family that did not include me, my children, or the man I married. I closed the app, went to bed, didn't cry. I had stopped crying about Diane Archer somewhere around year 3. Some wounds don't heal. They just go numb. Paige got married in year 6. I learned about it from Instagram 4 days after the wedding, when a friend from high school posted a group shot captioned, "Best Wedding of the Year." White church. The same Baptist church where I got baptized at 12. 200 guests. Paige in a cathedral-length veil. Mom in lavender. Dad in a suit I'd never seen. I zoomed in. My parents were in the second row, smiling, arms around each other. They looked happy. And they looked happy without me. I did something I probably shouldn't have. I ordered handmade linen napkins from a shop in Portland, ivory, monogrammed with Paige's new initials. I wrote a card: "Congratulations on your wedding. I wish you every happiness. Love, Elena." The package came back 3 weeks later. Unopened. Tape untouched. Item 17. Gift returned. Paige's wedding. Red pen. Dated. I put the binder back in the drawer, closed it, sat at my desk, and listened to Sophie singing in the bath and Liam arguing with Marcus about whether dinosaurs could swim. That was my family right there in the next room. And they were enough. Year 7 changed everything. Clarity Core landed its Series B, $12 million from a venture capital firm in San Francisco. Marcus was in the kitchen making pancakes for the twins when his phone rang. He listened, nodded, hung up, turned to me, and said, "They said yes." I did the math before the pancakes were done. 12 million. Post-money valuation, 68 million. Marcus and I still held 22%. We were not rich yet. But the numbers were heading somewhere I had only ever modeled in spreadsheets. I left my analyst job that month and joined Clarity Core full-time as CFO. First time my name was on the company paperwork next to his. We were partners in everything. The Series B made a small splash in the press. TechCrunch ran 4 paragraphs. 2 fintech newsletters picked it up. The kind of coverage people in the industry noticed and everyone else scrolled past. But someone in Millbrook, Ohio, did not scroll past. 2 weeks after the TechCrunch piece, a friend texted me, "Your mom asked about Marcus's company at church on Sunday. She wanted to know what Series B meant." I read that 3 times. Mom had not spoken my name in 7 years. She didn't know what Series B meant. But she wanted to. The math was changing, and Diane was paying attention. That same year, I sent what I knew would be my last birthday card. 7 straight years. 7 returned. But this time, I tucked something extra inside, a photo of Liam and Sophie at their school's fall festival. Matching flannels, face paint. Liam missing his 2 front teeth. Sophie grinning so wide her eyes were almost shut. On the back I wrote, "They ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away." I sealed it, mailed it, expected the usual red stamp. It came back in 9 days instead of 11. But something was different. The envelope had been opened. The flap was creased. The glue resealed with a strip of clear tape. I held it up to the light. The card was inside. The photo was inside. But someone had taken them out, looked at them, and put them carefully back. I sat at the kitchen table and turned that envelope over in my hands for a long time. Someone in that house, Dad, I was almost certain, had opened the card, had looked at his grandchildren's faces, had held that photo. And then someone else, Mom, had made him send it back. He wanted to keep it. She wouldn't let him. Item 23. Birthday card. Opened and resealed. Photo viewed. Still returned. I wrote the label with a steadier hand than I expected. Because I had suspected for years that Dad was not the architect of this silence. He was the enforcer. Mom was the architect. Year 8. Clarity Corps was growing faster than either of us expected. 80 employees. Offices in Portland and Austin. Marcus was on the cover of a regional business magazine with the headline, "The Quiet Disruptor." Then Forbes ran its annual companies to watch list. Clarity Corps made it at number 47. Small mention, 2 sentences, but it was Forbes. I noticed strange activity on my LinkedIn that month. Someone from Millbrook, Ohio, had viewed my profile 3 times in 1 week. Location visible. Name hidden. Then my friend from Ohio texted again, "Your mom told Linda at church that she always knew Marcus was smart." Direct quote. She sounded proud. Always knew Marcus was smart. 7 years of silence and now she always knew. I did not add that to the binder. It was hearsay. But I wrote it on a post-it and stuck it to the inside cover, because I wanted to remember the exact moment Diane began rewriting history. She wasn't proud of Marcus. She wasn't even sorry. She was recalculating. The numbers were getting bigger, and my mother was an accountant of a different kind. The group chat arrived on a Monday. My friend Tess called me at 7 in the evening. She sounded rattled. "Iris, Paige accidentally added me to a family group chat. I was in it for 3 days before they noticed and removed me. I took screenshots. She sent 7 of them. 3 days of unfiltered conversation. I read them in the parking lot of Liam's soccer practice. Paige, his company was valued at $68 million last round. I've been tracking the funding filings. If they IPO, we're looking at $300 million minimum. Diane, how do we approach this? She won't listen to me. Ray, maybe I should call first. Feel her out. Diane, no. I need to go in person with a plan. A real plan. Paige, make a list. Be specific about what we need. She's a numbers person. She'll respond to numbers. Diane, how much should we ask for? Paige, start with the mortgage, then medical, then retirement. Layer it. Make it look like a family investment, not a request. Ray did not reply after that. I sat in my car with the engine off. The dashboard clock read 7:22. Through the windshield, I could see Liam running across the field, chasing a ball twice the size of his head. My hands were shaking. Not from sadness. From clarity. 9 years of silence. 9 years of returned birthday cards and ignored grandchildren. And now that the numbers had changed, they wanted to approach with a plan. I drove home, printed the screenshots, filed them. Item 26. Family group chat. Financial reconnaissance confirmed. I told Marcus that night after the kids were asleep. I showed him the screenshots. He read them once, slowly, the way he reads code, line by line, looking for bugs. When he finished, he set the phone on the counter and stared at the wall. What do you want to do? Nothing yet. But I want to be ready. He nodded. That was Marcus. He didn't tell me what to feel. He didn't suggest we ignore it or confront it. He asked what I wanted and then stood beside me while I figured it out. The next morning, I called a family attorney. Not to sue, not to file anything. I wanted to understand our position. The attorney, a woman named Grace, mid-50s, no nonsense, walked me through it in 20 minutes. Diane had no legal standing. Our trusts were structured to protect the children's assets. No grandparent visitation rights in Oregon without an existing relationship. And 9 years of documented estrangement made any claim laughable. I thanked Grace, hung up, went to work. But I also drafted a letter that week. I didn't send it, just wrote it out long at the kitchen table after midnight. Every item in the binder. Every date. Every returned card. Every screenshot. 26 items, documented, ready. Year 9. The IPO conversation started in January. Investment bankers flew to Portland. 3 rounds of meetings in our conference room, the one with the Goodwill whiteboard, though nobody needed to know that. They used words like roadshow and pricing range and lockup period. Marcus handled the product pitch. I handled the numbers. Every slide, every projection, every risk disclosure. My name was on it. CFO. Co-founder. The process took 7 months. 7 months of due diligence, legal review, investor meetings. Marcus barely slept. I barely ate. The twins started noticing. Liam asked why Dad kept talking to his laptop at dinner. Sophie drew a picture of me at my desk with a speech bubble that said, "One more email." In August, our attorney finalized the trust structure for Liam and Sophie. 2 irrevocable trusts, funded, protected. Nobody, not Diane, not Ray, not Paige, not any future version of any family member who showed up with a list, could touch $1. I signed the trust documents on a Tuesday afternoon overlooking the Willamette River. The attorney asked if I had any questions. I had one. If a family member attempts to claim access to these funds, what happens? She said, nothing. That's the point. I went home, made dinner, helped Sophie with long division, and put the trust documents in the fire safe under our bed. 2 months before the IPO, Paige texted me. First time in 9 years. The message arrived at 2:17 on a Thursday afternoon. Hey, just thinking about you. How are the kids? 6 words. 9 years. As if she'd been checking in regularly, as if this was a continuation of something instead of a resurrection. I didn't reply for a week. I wanted to see if she'd follow up. She did. I'm going to be in Portland for work next month. Would love to see you. I agreed to meet her. Not at our house. A cafe in the Pearl District. Public, neutral, time limited. Paige showed up 15 minutes late in a blazer and ankle boots. She looked like she'd practiced being casual. She hugged me too long. She said, "You look amazing," 3 times in the first 10 minutes. Then came the questions. How big was our house? Did the kids go to private school? What neighborhood? Was Marcus still running the company? How many employees? Had they raised more money recently? 32 questions. I counted. Not one of them was, "I'm sorry." Halfway through our lattes, I noticed Paige had her phone angled toward the parking lot. She was photographing my car, a white Tesla Marcus bought me for my birthday. She was scouting. Cataloging. Building a report. I let her finish her latte and answered every question vaguely, politely, the way you answer a bank teller's small talk. When we hugged goodbye, she held on too long again. She ordered a latte and asked 32 questions. The only one she didn't ask was the only one that mattered. After the cafe, I drove straight home and opened the binder. Item 28. Page reconnaissance visit. 32 questions documented. Vehicle photographed. No apology offered. No mention of past estrangement. Then I called Grace, the family attorney, for the second time. "They're coming," I told her. "My mother, probably within weeks of the IPO. She'll bring demands." Grace asked what kind. I told her about the group chat, the screenshots, Paige's instructions to layer it and make it look like a family investment. Grace was quiet for a moment. "You have documentation." "I have a binder." "How thorough?" 28 items, dated, sourced, 9 years. Another pause. "Iris, you don't need me for this. The legal structure, the trusts, the estate separation, that's already done. What you're describing is not a legal confrontation. It's a personal one. And for that, you just need to decide what you're willing to say." She was right. This was not about lawyers. This was about a woman who showed up because the numbers changed, and whether I was going to let her rewrite 9 years of silence into a story about a misunderstanding. I sat at my desk that night and pulled out the letter I drafted months ago. Read it. Put it back in the drawer. I didn't need a letter. I had the binder itself. 28 items. 9 years. Every returned card, every ignored voicemail, every screenshot, every piece of evidence that my family had erased me. Not because I did something wrong. Because I loved someone they refused to accept. The binder would speak for itself. Clarity Corp went public on a Wednesday in October. Marcus and I stood on the floor of the NASDAQ in New York, him in a charcoal suit, me in a navy blazer, and watched the stock open at $18 a share. By noon it hit 20. By close, 22. Market cap, 440 million. Marcus and I held 10%. Net worth on paper, 44 million. 44 million. It didn't feel real. It felt like a spreadsheet cell someone had typed wrong. Too many zeros. Check the formula. But the zeros were right. I had checked the formula. That was literally my job. TechCrunch ran a feature. Forbes called for a comment. Bloomberg put Marcus's face in a sidebar. We celebrated with room service sushi in our hotel room overlooking Times Square. Cora was back in Portland with the twins. Marcus fell asleep on the couch at 9:15, still wearing his suit jacket. I stayed up. Not because of the IPO. Because of what I knew was coming next. 5 missed calls. Area code for Millbrook, Ohio. 3 from a number I didn't recognize. 1 from Ray. 1 from Diane. I did not call back. I set the phone face down and stared at the ceiling. 9 years. 44 million. And suddenly, Iris' heart was worth knowing again. Ray's voicemail arrived the next morning while I was brushing my teeth. His voice was thinner than I remembered, older, but the cadence was the same, slow and careful, a man who measured words like lumber. "Baby girl, I saw you on the news. You and Marcus on the stock exchange floor. I'm proud of you." I've always been, a long pause, breathing, "Your mother wants to talk. Please call her back." I played it 3 times. "Baby girl." He hadn't called me that since I was 14. And "I'm proud of you." For words I had waited a decade to hear. But then I listened again. To the structure of it. He called after the IPO. Not after the wedding. Not after the twins were born. Not after 7 years of birthday cards or ultrasound photos or birth announcements. After the IPO. He was proud of me on paper. What he had never been was brave enough to pick up the phone when there were no millions attached to the call. I saved the voicemail. I did not add it to the binder. It was too sad for the binder. Instead, I sat on the hotel bathroom floor and let myself feel all of it for about 4 minutes. Then I got up and packed my suitcase. We had a flight to catch. Diane's text arrived 2 days after we got home from New York. Long, carefully composed. No typos. No autocorrect errors. This was a draft. She had written it, edited it, probably read it aloud to herself in the mirror. Iris, I know we've lost time. I think about you and the children every day. Life is short. I've learned that some things matter more than the differences that divide us. I'd like to talk about the future, about the children, about what it means to be a family. There are things families should share. 63 words, carefully chosen. And not one of them was sorry. Not one of them was I was wrong. Not one of them acknowledged that she had disowned me for marrying a man whose skin was a different shade than hers. She wrote, the differences that divide us, as if our estrangement was a philosophical disagreement instead of a woman who told her daughter, he is not one of us, and then returned 7 years of birthday cards unopened. I did not reply. I screenshotted the text, printed it, opened the binder. Item 29. First text from Diane in 9 years. 63 words. 0 apology. Red pen. Dated. I closed the binder, put it back in the bottom drawer, and looked at the framed photo next to my monitor. Marcus and me and the twins at Cannon Beach. All 4 of us squinting into the sun. Liam on Marcus's shoulders, Sophie holding my hand. That was my answer right there in the frame. Tess called on a Friday. Paige is telling everyone that she visited you in Portland. She's saying you live in a mansion. She's telling people Marcus struck gold and you drive a Tesla and the kids go to private school. I leaned against the kitchen counter. Half of that's wrong. It's not a mansion and the kids go to public school. Iris. That's not the point. Your mom is planning a trip. Paige told Linda at the salon that Diane is coming to Portland next week. She's packing a suitcase. I closed my eyes. I know. How? Because Paige counted every room in that cafe and photographed my car. Silence on the other end. Then what are you going to do? I'm going to open the door. Tess sounded surprised. You're going to let her in? I'm going to let her talk. And then I'm going to show her what I've been keeping in the bottom drawer of my desk for 9 years. I hung up and stood in my kitchen. The kitchen with the island where Sophie did homework and Liam built Lego towers and Marcus made pancakes on Sunday mornings. Cora's photo was on the fridge next to the twins' field trip picture. Grammy Cora. The only grandmother they had ever known. Diane was coming. I had known it since the group chat, since the Series B, since the LinkedIn views and the church gossip and Paige's 32 questions at the cafe. The numbers had changed and Diane was coming to collect. But I was not the same girl who left Millbrook at 18 with a scholarship and a mother's card that said, "Come home soon." I was a CFO, a mother, a woman with a binder. And I was ready. The irony was not lost on me. In Millbrook, news traveled through the Baptist church the way water moves through limestone, slowly, everywhere, impossible to stop. When I married Marcus, the Whisper Network had done its work in 48 hours. Diane Archer's daughter married someone who was not like us. The women on the prayer chain clucked their tongues. The men at the diner shook their heads. And Diane had wielded that social pressure like a weapon. She disowned me partly because she couldn't bear the whispers. Now the whispers had reversed. Tess told me. Linda at the salon told Tess. Iris Hart's husband was on NASDAQ. Iris Hart was a CFO. Iris' heart was worth $44 million. And Diane, the woman who ran the Easter brunch and coordinated the prayer chain, had disowned her own daughter 9 years ago for marrying him. People weren't whispering anymore. They were asking questions to Diane's face. You must be so proud. When did you last visit the grandkids? Are you going out to Portland for the holidays? And Diane had to smile through every single one, because admitting the truth would destroy the image she had spent a decade building. The same town that let her cut me off was now asking her why. She couldn't tell them she was estranged without admitting she was the one who drew the line. She couldn't pretend everything was fine without someone asking, then where was Iris at Christmas? The pressure was flipping. And Diane, the woman who had wielded social pressure like a scalpel, was now the one being cut. She arrived on a Tuesday at 10:14 in the morning. I know the exact time because I was standing at the kitchen window drying a mug when the taxi pulled up. She got out slowly. Beige cardigan, black slacks, the same pearl studs she'd worn to church every Sunday since I was a girl. A carry-on suitcase, small, worn at the corners. She stood on the sidewalk for a full 30 seconds before walking up the path. I watched her look at the house, the porch swing, the garden beds Marcus had planted in the spring. She took it in the way a real estate appraiser would. Evaluating. The doorbell rang. I opened the door. We stood 3 feet apart. She looked older. More gray. Lines around her mouth that hadn't been there 9 years ago. Her eyes, the same shade of green as mine, were already damp. Iris. Mom. A silence. 4 seconds. I came to talk about the children's future. Not, I came because I missed you. Not, I came because I was wrong. Not even, I came because I love you. I came to talk about the children's future. The children she had never met. The children whose photos she returned in sealed envelopes. Come in. I didn't lead her to the living room. I led her to the kitchen. The kitchen had a table. It had good light. It had the fridge with Cora's photo and the twins' artwork and a world map where Sophie marked every country she wanted to visit someday. The kitchen was where truth lived in this house. And truth was what we were about to have. She sat at the table. I poured 2 glasses of water. No coffee. Coffee was for people who were staying. She looked around the kitchen. Her eyes landed on the fridge. On Cora's photo. Grammy Cora holding Liam and Sophie on her lap at the beach, all 3 of them laughing. Diane stared at it for 5 seconds. Something crossed her face. I couldn't tell if it was guilt or jealousy. Then she unfolded the paper. Her handwriting. Blue ink. 5 bullet points, each one neat, deliberate, the product of hours of calculation. She read them aloud. Retirement fund for your father and me, $500,000. I said nothing. College fund for Paige's son, $200,000. Nothing. Dad's knee surgery, $45,000. Nothing. Mortgage payoff on the family home, $180,000. Nothing. Monthly support, $3,000. She folded the paper, placed it on the table between us, and looked at me. This is what families do, Iris. Your father worked his whole life. He sacrificed for you, for both of you. It's time to give back. I stared at the list. $925,000. Itemized, calculated, presented like an invoice. Not once during the reading did she mention my name with the word sorry. Not once did she acknowledge that she was sitting in a house she'd never visited, asking for money from grandchildren she'd never held. I picked up the list, read each line one more time, folded it, set it down. Then I stood up and walked to my office. The bottom drawer was exactly where I left it. Behind the tax folders. Behind the old insurance documents. I pulled out the binder. Navy blue. 3-ring. Heavy. The kind of weight that comes from 9 years of documentation. I carried it back to the kitchen and set it on the table right next to the folded list of demands. 2 documents. Hers, 1 page, 5 bullets, $925,000. Mine, 29 items, 9 years, 0 apologies received. Diane looked at the binder. What is that? I sat down, placed my hands flat on the table. You brought a list, Mom. I brought one too. She stared at the binder, at the red pen labels visible through the clear cover, at the thickness of it. Almost 3 inches of tabs and documents and printed screenshots and returned birthday cards still in their original envelopes. I don't understand. You will. I opened to tab 1, year 1, and I started reading. I did not raise my voice. I did not cry. I did not perform. I read the way I read quarterly reports to the board. Factual, organized, item by item. 9 years of receipts, documented and dated. Every returned card, every ignored voicemail, every screenshot, every piece of proof that Diane had systematically erased her firstborn daughter. Not because I did something wrong. Because I loved someone she refused to accept. I pulled out the first item. A birthday card in a white envelope. Red stamp across the front. Return to sender. Still sealed. I placed it on the table. Item 1. Birthday card. Mailed September 12, 2017. Returned September 23. Diane's eyes widened. I pulled out the second item. Item 2. Wedding photo. Mailed June 14, returned June 25. A third. Item 3. Christmas card. Mailed December 8, returned December 21. I laid them out one by one, slowly, the way you lay out evidence in an audit. No commentary, no emotion. Just documents arranged in chronological order. Diane's mouth opened, then closed. She stared at the growing row of envelopes on the table. White rectangles with red stamps. Each one a door I had tried to open that she had slammed shut. These are the birthday cards I sent you every year for 9 years. Every single one came back. Iris, I'm not finished. I moved to tab 2. Year 2. A voicemail transcript. An unanswered call log. The Facebook post. Item 4. Voicemail to you. January 7, 2018. Duration 47 seconds. No call back. Diane pressed her fingers to her lips. Item 5. Text from Dad. February 12, 2018. For words, your mother needs time. I set the printout on the table. It's been 9 years, Mom. How much more time did you need? The tears came. I expected them. Diane covered her face with both hands and made the sound I'd heard 1,000 times growing up. The controlled, theatrical cry she used when she wanted sympathy without surrendering dignity. It was the same cry she used when Dad forgot their anniversary. The same cry she used when the church didn't choose her casserole for the potluck finals. I was hurt, Iris. You chose him over us. You left. I didn't leave. You told me not to come back. That's not, I was upset. People say things when they're upset. I flipped to tab 4, year 4, and pulled out a printout. Item 16. Text from Paige to a mutual friend. March 9, 2021. I read it aloud, slowly. Her children don't have real grandparents. That's what she chose. Diane flinched. Paige didn't mean, this is Paige's exact text, word for word. I flipped to the last tab. The screenshots. 7 pages. Item 26. Family group chat. October 4, 2025. I read Paige's message. Make a list. Be specific about what we need. She's a numbers person. She'll respond to numbers. Then Diane's, she has more money than this entire town. She can afford to help her family. Diane's face changed. The theatrical tears dried up. Something harder surfaced. The same expression she wore when Paige broke the good china and blamed it on the dog. Anger. Not guilt. Anger. You had no right to read that. I looked at her, level, steady. You had no right to return my children's photos. My name is Elena Hart. I'm 33 years old. 2 weeks ago, my mother rang my doorbell for the first time in 9 years. She stood on my porch in a beige cardigan with a carry-on suitcase and a folded piece of paper. The paper was not an apology. It was a list. Handwritten, blue ink, bullet points. Every bullet had a dollar sign. Total, $925,000. She did not say she was sorry. She did not ask about her grandchildren. She said, we need to talk about the family's future. But here is what my mother did not know. I had been keeping a list of my own for 9 years. Every birthday card she returned, every voicemail she ignored, every text my sister sent about me behind my back. 29 items. All labeled, all dated, all filed in a navy binder sitting in the bottom drawer of my desk. She brought a list of what she wanted. I brought a list of what she did. Let me take you back to the summer I turned 24. The summer my family told me I was no longer one of them. Millbrook, Ohio. Population 2,000. 1 Baptist church. 1 barbershop. 1 diner where every booth smelled like coffee and bacon grease no matter what time you walked in. That was my world until I was 18. My father, Ray, worked at the lumber yard on Route 7 for 31 years. Same shift, same boots, same quiet nod when he came through the door at 5:42 every evening. My mother, Diane, ran the household and the church women's committee with equal precision. She organized the Easter brunch. She coordinated the prayer chain. She decided who brought what to every potluck, and nobody argued. My sister Paige was 4 years younger and everything I was not. Loud, confident, the kind of girl who got voted homecoming queen and acted surprised. Mom adored her. Dad called her sunshine. I was the quiet one. The one who did the dishes without being asked, scored perfect on every math test, and never got a party for either. I don't say that with bitterness. I say it because you need to understand the math. In our family, love was a budget, and Paige was the line item that always got funded first. At 18, I got a full scholarship to Ohio State. First in the family to go to college. Mom packed my suitcase and slipped a card inside, flowers on the front, her handwriting on the back. Come home soon. You belong here. I kept that card for 15 years. It's still in my desk drawer, right next to the navy binder. That card was the last kind thing she ever wrote me. I met Marcus Webb in advanced statistics, junior year. He sat 2 rows ahead and solved regression problems like he was reading a grocery list. Calm, methodical, never rushed. Engineering major, computer science minor, on a partial scholarship from Cleveland. His mother, Cora, was a retired school librarian who raised him alone, worked 2 jobs until he was 16, then 1 job and volunteered at 3. Marcus was biracial. He had his mother's eyes, his father's jawline, and this way of listening that made you feel like everything you said actually mattered. Our first date was a taco truck near campus. He paid with crumpled singles. I paid with quarters. We split a horchata and talked until the truck closed. We dated 3 years before he proposed, 3 quiet, steady, unremarkable years. He met my parents twice. First time, Mom smiled too wide and called him Michael instead of Marcus. Second time she used his real name but didn't look at him when she said it. Both times, Dad shook his hand and said almost nothing. I told myself it was nerves. Small town people. They just needed time. Paige was the honest one. At Thanksgiving she leaned over and whispered, "He's nice, but Mom is never going to be okay with this. You know that, right?" I didn't know that. Not yet. Marcus proposed on a Tuesday. No ring at first, Just a conversation at our kitchen table. He said, I want to spend my life with you. I want to build something with you. Will you let me? I said yes, before he finished the sentence. I called home that night. Mom picked up on the third ring. I told her. The line went quiet for 7 seconds. I counted. You need to think about what this means for this family, Iris. Not congratulations. Not tell me about the ring. A warning. Dad got on the extension, cleared his throat twice, said nothing. 2 days later, Paige texted, Mom has been crying since you called. Are you happy now? I was, actually, for the first time in years. But I didn't reply that. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived. Not an email, not a text. A letter. Diane's cursive on cream-colored stationery. 4 paragraphs. The last one said, if you go through with this, you are choosing him over your family. We will not attend. And if you walk down that aisle, do not expect to walk back through our door. He is not one of us, Iris. He never will be. That was the line. She drew it in blue ink on cream stationery and expected me to stand on her side of it. I read it 3 times, folded it, put it in a manila folder. Something in me, the part that files receipts and labels bank statements, said hold on to it. I held on. We got married at the county courthouse on a Saturday in June. 12 guests, all friends, all Marcus's side. His mother, Cora, flew in with a garment bag and a Tupperware of pound cake. She pinned a silk flower to my dress, held both my hands, and said, welcome to the family, baby. No father walked me down the aisle. There was no aisle. There was a hallway with fluorescent lights, a judge who pronounced our names wrong, and a reception at a Thai restaurant where we pushed 4 tables together and Marcus's college roommate gave a toast that made everyone laugh so hard Cora spilled her water. My dress cost $160 from a consignment shop. Marcus wore a navy suit he bought on clearance. We looked like 2 people who had just done the most important thing of their lives on a budget. Because we had. That night, sitting on the edge of our bed staring at a $6 grocery store bouquet, my hands shook. Not from doubt. From grief. I had just gotten married, and the 2 people who raised me didn't care enough to watch. 1 week later, I mailed a card to Millbrook. Inside, our wedding photo, Marcus and me on the courthouse steps, grinning. I wrote, we are happy. I hope you can be happy for us someday. The card came back 11 days later. Stamped in red. Return to sender. I stared at that stamp for a long time. Then I opened the manila folder, wrote in red pen, item 2. Wedding photo returned. That was the beginning of the binder. The kitchen went silent. I reached for one specific item. Tab 5, Year 7. The envelope was slightly different from the others. Same white paper, same red stamp, but the flap was creased. Resealed with a thin strip of clear tape. I held it up. Item 23. Birthday card. Year 7. Inside this card was a photo of Liam and Sophie at their school fall festival. On the back I wrote, they ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away. I set the envelope on the table. This card was opened. Someone took out the photo, looked at their faces, then sealed it carefully and sent it back. Diane's jaw tightened. Who opened it, Mom? Silence. Dad opened it. He wanted to keep it. And you made him send it back. Diane's hands were flat on the table now. Her eyes were on the tape. She whispered something so quiet I almost missed it. I was afraid. I waited. If I let him keep it, if I let any of it in, I would have had to admit I was wrong. That I lost 9 years for nothing. That I pushed away my grandchildren because I was too proud to. She stopped. Swallowed. For 1 second, maybe 2, I saw something real in her face. Not performance, not manipulation. Actual fear. The kind that lives under anger for so long it forgets how to come out any other way. Then it was gone. Her chin lifted. Her posture stiffened. But you left us, Iris. You made your choice. The moment of honesty evaporated like steam off a coffee cup. Gone before I could hold it. I placed Diane's list of demands on the left side of the table. I placed the binder on the right. Your list. $925,000. 5 bullet points. No apology. I tapped the binder. My list. 29 items. 9 years of silence. 9 years of returned birthday cards and ignored grandchildren and a daughter you erased because she married the wrong man. Diane's nostrils flared. I did not erase. You told the church I abandoned you. You told Paige to tell our friends that my children didn't have real grandparents. You tracked my husband's company for months and came to my door with an itemized invoice. I closed the binder. The metal rings clicked shut. You didn't come here because you missed me, Mom. You came here because the numbers changed. Diane stood up. The chair scraped against the tile. After everything we did for you growing up, you raised me. That is not a debt. That is what parents do. We gave you everything. You gave me a card that said, "Come home soon." Then you told me not to come back. She had no answer for that. I could see her searching through her mental Rolodex of guilt trips and emotional leverage and finding nothing that fit. You said he was not one of us. But for 9 years, his mother was the only grandmother my children had. The words hung in the kitchen like smoke. She heard them. I watched them land. She had nothing left to say. The garage door rumbled. Marcus walked into the kitchen through the laundry room, keys in one hand, laptop bag over his shoulder. He saw Diane. He saw the binder on the table. He saw me. He did not speak. He set his bag on the counter, walked to where I was sitting, put his hand on my shoulder, and sat down beside me. That was it. No words, no confrontation, no dramatic entrance. Just a man sitting next to his wife because she needed him there. Diane looked at Marcus. The man she had refused to accept 9 years ago. He wore a flannel shirt and running shoes and a watch that cost less than her pearl studs. There was nothing flashy about him. Nothing that announced 44 million. He was just a man. A good man. A father. A husband. And he was right here, hand on my shoulder, saying everything without opening his mouth. Diane stared at his hand, at my shoulder, at the space between us that held no tension, no performance, no need for words. She understood. I didn't need the family I was born into. I had already built my own. I spoke quietly, the way you deliver a final number on a balance sheet. Factual. Complete. No revision pending. Mom. I will not give you money. She opened her mouth. I continued. Not because I can't afford it. Because the moment I hand you a check, you will believe you were right to stay away until it was profitable to come back. You will tell yourself, and you will tell Paige, that this is what family does. That the silence was a misunderstanding. That the 9 years were just a rough patch. I picked up her list and held it out. They were not a rough patch. They were a choice. Your choice. Every returned card. Every ignored voicemail. Every photo of your grandchildren that you looked at and sent back. She did not take the list. It hung in the air between us. If you want to know your grandchildren, really know them, not as a line item on a financial plan that starts with an apology. Not to me. To them. And it doesn't start today. It starts when you're ready to mean it. Diane took the list, picked up her suitcase, walked to the front door. She stopped, turned around, opened her mouth, closed it, walked out. The door clicked shut. Not a slam. A click. The sound of someone leaving who knew she had lost something she could not buy back. 2 weeks passed. Marcus and I didn't talk about Diane much. Not because we were avoiding it. Because there wasn't much left to say. She had come with a list. I had shown her a binder. She had left without apologizing. The math was settled. The twins didn't know she had visited. They were at school both times, the arrival and the departure. I preferred it that way. They would learn about Diane when they were old enough to understand that some people only see you when the light is right. Ray called on a Tuesday morning, 9:14, while I was reviewing a vendor contract at work. Iris, your mother told me what happened. I should have opened that door for you 9 years ago. I should have picked up the phone. I should have driven to Portland the day the twins were born. I should have done a lot of things. His voice cracked. I'm sorry. Not because of the money. I don't want your money. I want to know my grandchildren. And I want to know if you'll let me try. I was quiet for 17 seconds. I counted. I believe you, Dad. But believing you and trusting you are different things. We start slow. Phone calls every 2 weeks. No visits yet. No money. Just talking. He agreed. That's more than I deserve. It's exactly what you deserve. Not more, not less. We hung up. I went back to my contract. Paige texted once. One line, you could have just helped. I didn't reply. Some messages are their own answer. Diane did not call, did not text, did not write. The silence returned. But this time it was hers. I had said everything I needed to say. The next move was hers. The binder sat in the bottom drawer. 29 items. 9 years. I did not add a 30th. I hoped I would never have to. Here is what 9 years of silence taught me. Family is not the people who share your last name. Family is not the people who show up when your net worth changes. Family is the people who show up when your world is small and your garage is cold and your babies need a grandmother. The people who fly from Cleveland every 6 weeks and crochet blankets and teach your son how to make grilled cheese. That is family. And it was never about the money. It was about showing up. That's my story. 9 years. 29 items. 1 navy binder. If this reminded you that your worth was never about the numbers, share it with someone who needs to hear that today.